Welcome to Animate Bible Stories, where ancient truth meets captivating animation. In this series, we bring to life the dramatic journey of Esau and Jacob, a story of sibling rivalry, deception, grace, and redemption. Get ready to experience the Bible like never before. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next episode. The story of Esau and Jacob, a Bible drama. The promised twins. Long before Esau and Jacob took their first breath, their destiny was already shaping history. In a quiet home in Canaan, Isaac, the promised son of Abraham, and his wife Rebekah had been longing for children. After many years of childlessness, Isaac prayed fervently to God, and the Lord answered his plea. Rebekah conceived, but her pregnancy was difficult. She felt turmoil within her womb as if a battle raged inside. She asked God, "Why is this happening to me?" And God replied, "Two nations are in your womb, and two peoples from within you will be separated. One people will be stronger than the other, and the older will serve the younger." When the time came to give birth, Rebekah delivered twins. The first boy came out red and hairy all over like a garment. They named him Esau. The second followed closely, gripping his brother's heel. They named him Jacob, meaning heel grabber or supplanter. As the boys grew, their differences became even more evident. Esau became a skillful hunter and man of the open country, while Jacob was a quiet man who stayed among the tents. Isaac, the father, favored Esau because of his wild game, but Rebekah loved Jacob. Seeds of favoritism, sibling rivalry, and divine prophecy were already taking root, setting the stage for a life-changing drama. Jacob often stayed back, listening, learning, reflecting. He noticed the way Esau came and went, unaware of his sacred inheritance. Rebekah, too, often reminded Jacob of God's words to her, that the elder would serve the younger. These seeds planted early in Jacob's heart would later grow into a bold plan to redirect the future. Esau, impulsive and easily swayed by his physical appetite, developed a pattern of chasing the moment. Jacob, on the other hand, was patient, calculated, and quietly waiting for the right time. Little did they both know, destiny was about to unfold in an unexpected, controversial way over something as simple as a bowl of stew. The story of the twins was not just about sibling rivalry. It was about God's sovereign choice, the weight of spiritual heritage, and how the actions of today shape the generations of tomorrow. The stew that changed destinies. The air was thick with the scent of spices and simmering lentils. It was a normal day in the land of Canaan, but something monumental was about to happen in the quiet tent where Jacob stirred a pot of stew. It was no ordinary meal, it was a dish laced with destiny. Jacob, with calculated stillness, cooked and waited. He knew Esau. He knew the hunger that ruled him. And as if on cue, Esau burst into the camp, sweat pouring down his face, his garments dusty and torn from a long, unsuccessful hunt. He was exhausted, ravenous, and vulnerable. "Give me some of that red stew. I'm starving," Esau exclaimed, his voice desperate. Jacob, eyes narrowed, replied calmly, "Sell me your birthright first." That moment suspended time. The birthright, something sacred and powerful, entitling the firstborn to a double portion of inheritance and spiritual leadership, was being weighed against a bowl of stew. Esau, caught in his flesh, dismissed the weight of his inheritance. "Look, I'm about to die," Esau said. "What good is the birthright to me?" Jacob pressed, "Swear to me first." And Esau, driven by appetite over legacy, swore an oath, selling his birthright to Jacob. With that, Jacob gave him bread and the red stew. Esau ate, drank, and went on his way, indifferent, unaware that he had just traded eternal significance for temporary satisfaction. Jacob watched silently. His hands might have served the stew, but destiny was being cooked in the pot. Rebekah likely observed from a distance, her heart a mix of pride and concern. She remembered God's promise. She saw the prophecy inching closer. This episode wasn't just about a meal, it was about a mindset. Esau's hunger revealed a deeper hunger in humanity, a craving for the now that often blinds us from the eternal. And Jacob, while cunning, understood that spiritual matters cannot be treated lightly. This exchange, simple on the surface, would echo for generations. For Jacob, it was a calculated step toward a divine destiny. For Esau, it was the beginning of a bitter journey fueled by regret and resentment. In the quiet aftermath, the stew pot empty, the oath sealed, and the brothers parted. But heaven had just recorded a historic transaction. The blessing heist. Years passed, and the twins became men, walking different paths yet sharing the same inheritance by blood. Isaac, now old and nearly blind, called his favored son, Esau, into his tent. His voice trembled with age, "My son, I am old and do not know the day of my death. Go and hunt game for me, prepare the kind of tasty food I love, and bring it to me so that I may bless you before I die." It was a sacred moment, one that should have passed to Esau as the firstborn. But God's words to Rebekah had not faded with time. She overheard the conversation and rushed to Jacob with urgency burning in her voice. "Now, my son, listen carefully and do what I tell you." She hatched a plan. While Esau went into the field to hunt, Jacob would prepare a meal, dress like his brother, and receive the blessing in disguise. Jacob hesitated. "But Esau is hairy, and I am smooth-skinned. If father touches me, I will be cursed." Rebekah, unwavering in her determination, replied, "Let the curse fall on me. Just do what I say." Quickly, she prepared the food, dressed Jacob in Esau's best clothes, and covered his arms and neck with goatskins. With trembling hands and beating heart, Jacob entered Isaac's tent. "Who is it, my son?" Isaac asked. Jacob answered, "I am Esau, your firstborn." Isaac was suspicious. "How did you find game so quickly?" Jacob replied, "The Lord your God gave me success." Isaac reached out, touched the goatskin-covered arms, and smelled the scent of Esau's clothing. Though his voice didn't match, the touch and smell convinced him. Then came the blessing. Isaac poured out prophetic words over Jacob, abundance of the earth, dominion over nations, and superiority over his brother. The covenant of Abraham flowed through that blessing. Jacob had now stepped into destiny, though through deception. Moments later, Esau returned with his game, eager for the blessing. But when Isaac realized what had happened, he trembled violently. "Your brother came deceitfully and took your blessing." Esau cried out in anguish, "Bless me, me too, my father." But it was done. The blessing could not be undone. Isaac gave Esau a lesser blessing, and the bitterness in Esau's heart boiled into fury. He vowed, "After the days of mourning for my father, I will kill my brother Jacob." Rebekah, sensing the danger, urged Jacob to flee to her brother Laban in Haran. And so Jacob, now blessed but banished, left the land of promise under the shadow of guilt and fear. What began as a prophecy was now unfolding through human flaws, trickery, and desperate ambition. But God, who sees the end from the beginning, was still weaving redemption into the tangled threads. Jacob the fugitive, the ladder and the promise. The desert wind howled softly as Jacob fled from his brother's wrath. His heart raced, not just from fear, but from the weight of what he had done. He was now both heir and exile. The blessing he received had come with a heavy cost. He had left his family, his mother's embrace, and the only home he had ever known. He journeyed alone into the wilderness, following the ancient road north toward Haran, where his uncle Laban lived. Each step away from Beersheba took him further from comfort, and deeper into the unknown. Night fell, and with no shelter in sight, Jacob found a quiet, desolate place to rest. He gathered a few stones, used one as a pillow, and laid his head upon the hard earth under the canopy of stars. As he closed his eyes, troubled and weary, something miraculous happened. Jacob dreamed. In the vision, he saw a ladder, towering, majestic, resting on the earth and reaching into heaven. Angels of God ascended and descended upon it, a celestial highway between the divine and the human. At the very top stood the Lord himself. Then came a voice, clear, powerful, and tender. "I am the Lord, the God of your father Abraham and the God of Isaac. The land on which you lie I will give to you and your descendants. Your offspring will be like the dust of the earth, and through your seed all the families of the earth will be blessed. I am with you and will watch over you wherever you go. I will not leave you until I have done what I promised you." Jacob awoke in awe, his heart pounding. "Surely the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it," he exclaimed. He looked around the barren land and realized he had unknowingly slept on holy ground. With trembling hands, he took the stone he had used as a pillow, set it upright as a memorial, and poured oil over it. He named the place Bethel, meaning house of God. In that moment, the fugitive became a pilgrim. Jacob made a vow, if God will be with me and will watch over me on this journey, then the Lord will be my God. Though he had deceived his way into a blessing, God chose to encounter him with mercy, not judgment. Jacob, who had left with nothing but a staff, now carried a promise greater than gold. He wasn't just running from Esau anymore, he was running toward destiny. The stars above no longer seemed cold or distant. They shimmered with the light of divine assurance. Alone but not abandoned, Jacob stepped into a future held tightly by God's hand. Little did he know, ahead lay years of hard labor, love, rivalry, and the shaping of a patriarch. But for now, Jacob pressed on, his heart echoing with the memory of a ladder and the voice of the Eternal. The love, the labor, and the Leah deception. Jacob arrived at Padan Aram weary, dusty, and hungry, but hopeful. Guided by the stories of his mother and now the blessing of God, he looked for the house of Laban, his mother's brother. Not long after arriving near a well, Jacob saw shepherds gathering. He asked them, "Do you know Laban, son of Nahor?" They nodded and pointed toward the horizon. "Yes, and here comes his daughter Rachel with the sheep." Jacob's eyes widened as he turned to see Rachel approaching. The sun caught her veil and the breeze teased her raven black hair. Her eyes were bright with kindness, her steps graceful even as she led her flock. Jacob was moved, first by gratitude, then by something deeper, love at first sight. He rushed forward, rolled the heavy stone from the mouth of the well, and watered her flock. Then, in a burst of emotion, he kissed her and wept aloud. Rachel, astonished but moved, ran to tell her father. Laban welcomed Jacob warmly. "Surely you are my own flesh and blood," he said. Jacob stayed a month, serving diligently. Then Laban asked, "What shall your wages be?" Jacob answered with no hesitation, "I will work 7 years for Rachel." And so he did. Day after day, Jacob labored under the sun, herding sheep, fixing fences, chasing wolves. Yet each evening, the thought of Rachel waiting made every sacrifice light. The 7 years passed like days because of his deep love. But on the wedding night, under a veil and darkness, Laban deceived him. In the morning light, Jacob awoke not beside Rachel, but Leah, her older sister. Anger fled. "Why have you deceived me?" Jacob demanded. Laban replied calmly, "It's not our custom to marry off the younger before the older. Finish this bridal week with Leah, and I'll give you Rachel too, for another 7 years of work." Jacob agreed, and so the saga of two sisters married to one man began. Rachel was loved. Leah was tolerated but fruitful. She bore sons, Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, each name a cry for love, for recognition. Jacob, caught in a web of love and obligation, worked another 7 years for Rachel. The house of Israel was being born, not in ease but in pain, favor, jealousy, and divine orchestration. Though tricked by man, Jacob was still led by God. The story of the 12 tribes was being woven from tents, tears, and triumphs. The return, the reunion, and the redemption. Years had passed since Jacob left Canaan. He had become wealthy, flocks, servants, wives, and children, but not yet whole. There was unfinished business. A shadow still hung over him, Esau. God spoke to Jacob in a dream, "Return to the land of your fathers and to your relatives, and I will be with you." With a trembling heart, Jacob obeyed. He packed everything, livestock, tents, his large family, and journeyed back to face the brother he once betrayed. As he neared Edom, messengers returned with sobering news, "Esau is coming to meet you with 400 men." Panic surged through Jacob. Was Esau coming in peace or revenge? He divided his people into 2 groups, thinking, if Esau attacks one group, the other may escape. Then Jacob did something he hadn't done years ago. He prayed, "O God of my father Abraham, I am unworthy of all the kindness and faithfulness you've shown me. Save me, I pray, from the hand of my brother Esau." That night, Jacob sent his family across the stream and remained alone. But he was not alone. A man, no ordinary man, appeared and wrestled with Jacob until dawn. It was a divine struggle, physical and spiritual. Jacob clung with all his might. "I will not let you go unless you bless me," he cried. The man asked, "What is your name?" "Jacob." "Your name will no longer be Jacob, but Israel, because you have struggled with God and with men and have prevailed." Jacob limped away with a new name and a new identity, not just the supplanter, but a prince with God. As the sun rose, Jacob looked up and saw Esau approaching. He bowed 7 times, humbling himself before the one he had deceived. But Esau, no longer the wild, vengeful hunter, ran to Jacob, embraced him, and wept. The reunion was not marked by revenge, but by reconciliation. Jacob said, "To see your face is like seeing the face of God, now that you have received me favorably." Esau offered to accompany him, but Jacob, still cautious, declined. Eventually, they parted peacefully, each to his own land. Jacob journeyed on to Shechem and later to Bethel, where he built an altar to the God who had appeared to him in dreams, wrestled with him in the night, and carried him through deceit, exile, and fear. The story of Jacob and Esau was never just about rivalry, it was about identity, divine purpose, mercy, and the long journey of becoming who God intends us to be. From the heel-grabbing birth to the tearful reunion, Jacob's life was a testimony that God's promises endure even when we falter. The God of Abraham and Isaac had become the God of Jacob, and soon, of a nation. Thanks for watching the story of Esau and Jacob on Animate Bible Stories. If this journey touched your heart or taught you something new, please give it a thumbs up, share it with a friend, and subscribe to follow more inspiring Bible tales. Drop your thoughts in the comments what stood out to you most about Jacob and Esau's journey. See you in our next animated Bible adventure.